welcome everybody to the Ottawa City Commission study session. Do we have any public comments?
We have none registered.
Thank you. Items to be placed on our regular city commission agenda is the minutes from our September 6th regular meeting and our September 11th study session, along with the proclamation recognizing September 17th through the 23rd of 2023 as Constitution Week. Commissioners, did you have a chance to review those? You okay with putting it on this Wednesday's agenda? Okay, we'll do that. Thank you. All right, items for presentation and discussion. Item A is the continued discussion of a resolution of intent for industrial revenue bonds or IRBs for Hasty Awards expansion. Tyler Ellsworth from Kutak Rock. Come on up.
All right.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm good. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So as you mentioned, this is a continuation of our discussion from last week. And this week, we actually have the documents that we're requesting that you all formally consider or formally place on your October 4th regular meeting. But to continue the discussion, item A and item B here are related. So the Hasty Awards existing facility on Enterprise Street is being expanded. It's about 21,500 square feet of additional space. And over the next 5 years or so, they're anticipating adding 15 or 16 new employees. And so they have requested that we facilitate their expansion by providing them industrial revenue bonds for a sales tax exemption on construction materials and a constitutional abatement, which would abate their property tax for 10 years at the 55% level of abatement. So as we mentioned last week, these requests are consistent with your policy. In particular, the 55% level of abatement is consistent with your policy. So we're pleased that the company has agreed to that. We think it's a fair incentive for what they're adding to the tax base and to the community here. And so I'm happy to answer additional questions, but the specific items that we would request of you this afternoon are to place the resolution of intent for IRBs, the resolution of intent for the constitutional abatement, both items on your October 4th agenda, along with a public hearing, which is required for the constitutional abatement.
I like the fiscal impact you included here from Wichita State. That I know we're giving up a little bit for the short term, but for the long term, it's much better benefit for us. I think the ratios are interesting. Benefit to our community. I had seen that before, but that was fascinating to read through that. But yeah, I appreciate you providing that. That certainly provides us incentive to make this deal happen somehow. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And I should mention that my hat's off to your staff. Rebecca McCurdy sort of really shepherded that through. So good.
I have a couple questions for you, Tyler. Does this business entity have any current tax abatement?
They did have one, and I think it was 2010 through 2020 or so on their existing facility. So they will not be entitled to an abatement on their existing improvements going forward. They have been paying their full tax liability for 3 years, which is part of the policy requirements. And so that will continue, and the abatement will only be on the additional piece of land and the additional improvements.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that citizens understand that it's not an entire abatement. of
Correct.
taxes. It's
Correct.
just on the improvements
Right.
and the addition. Okay. Any questions?
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for Tyler on either item A or item B?
I don't think so.
Tyler, the public hearing will also be October 4th?
Yes.
Okay, just clarifying.
Yes.
Commissioners, you okay with moving both of those items to the October 4th study meeting?
Yes.
Okay, we will do that.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all.
Tyler, thank you.
Tyler.
It's great to see you.
Likewise.
All right, item C is access management plan agreement with Kansas Department of Transportation. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Commission. Yeah, this is a standard agreement with KDOT to develop an access management plan or a traffic study along the K-68 corridor. We are at the westernmost portion of the 2009 study that was completed. So we're essentially a paragraph or so in that plan for the most part. as it just touches our community, but as such, we need to facilitate transportation planning so that we can spur and increase development along that corridor. What this study would do is consult with stakeholders, including the adjacent property owners to K68 for the development of intended uses and essentially creating a plan that will lay out ideally where intersections and future traffic signals would be. The goal obviously is to improve safety, improve and smooth traffic flow, increase the economic value of not only the adjacent properties that we're looking to develop, but also those further into the city as traffic would be smoothed and increase the smooth flow of traffic through that area. And then ultimately, all of that would lead to improved quality of life and decreased wear of our roadways. So what the actual agreement does is it defines who's responsible for what. So in short, it authorizes the execution of a traffic study and the agreements with KDOT. The performing engineer is George Butler Associates as the contract engineer. KDOT's the administrative director of the project. The city, we are participating, and there will be monthly project meetings with KDOT and GBA. As is common in all of the KDOT contracts across the state, the city is subject to annual audit and responsible for non-participating costs. Exhibit A in the agreement is the scope of work with George Butler and Associates. In that, it includes project coordination with KDOT involvement, the city of Ottawa, adjacent property owners, and other relevant stakeholders, including FCDC and businesses throughout the corridor. They'll have a data collection phase, and you may already see some traffic counters out there in preparation for that. They'll create maps and exhibits. Again, the public involvement, which will be facilitated by Shockey Consulting, and then a preparation of a report. It is contained in our revised budget, which is within the Economic Development Fund, with the city's participation at $20,000 and the state's participation at $105,000. So it'd be recommended that the city commission place a proposed access management agreement on the September 20th regular meeting. With that being said, are there any questions of myself or city staff regarding the agreement?
Under the financial, that last sentence, that the city is responsible for any cost in excess of KDOT's 105,000 estimated costs. Is 105 the maximum we're going to be responsible for? This talks about.
Oh, yeah, that would be the maximum amount for KDOT, with the city's participating amount currently at 20,000.
KDOT's maximum.
We do not anticipate there being an additional cost above what's defined in the scope of work, and we already know that estimate is essentially below the 125,000. With that being said, we always like to budget a small contingency in case we would like for the consultant or traffic engineers to look at something in greater detail while they're here to try and leverage any potential costs, but we don't know of anything at this point.
And then the traffic study, that would also involve a speed limit review.
That's a
base
base component of that,
Okay.
yes. And then, I believe they call them collision mitigation points, which is a way of saying intersections and traffic signals to reduce the likelihood of a wreck.
Good, all right.
So if it is placed on the September 20th regular city commission meeting, the purpose would be to authorize the mayor to execute KDOT agreement 492-23.
City attorneys looked at this,
Yes.
and I know it's in here, and I just cannot find, or maybe it's not in here. But Tell me about the timeline on this. It says from,
Yes, we anticipate the timeline taking approximately, I want to say 4 months. When it's all said and done for finished product, but the process would move relatively quickly, so we're expecting mobilization on this within the next 30 to 60 days, because we've already got a kickoff meeting anticipated and scheduled for next week.
Welcome, Doug. This corridor should develop. I mean, it's taken a long time, I know, and that's the reason we put our back out there. I know we just developed it, but things happen, I realize, and situations come up and change people's plans, but I think this would be a great plan. I think it's good. It's a lot of potential out there. Let me put it that way. You know, we can certainly get this going to help us in that end.
Well, keep in mind, one of our recent MIH applicants were out in that area,
Mhm.
you know, so,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, I know it's being looked at,
Oh, that's right.
you know, heavily. If there's any other questions for our city manager about this item? You okay with moving it on to the 20th meeting?
Yep.
That's what we'll do. Thank you. All right, comments by our city manager.
I'll keep it brief and to the point. The car show was this weekend. It was my first experience with the car show, and I was thoroughly impressed, given the weather, the turnout, and the number of participants, that knowing that there was a likelihood of severe weather, staying diligent and embracing their passion and continuing to participate. So we didn't lose too many cars with the threat of weather, but I'd like to take the time to thank the volunteers who made that possible, because it literally takes an army to do that, both on the show side and on the community side. On our end, we had the volunteers in policing who turned out to assist, and so we thank those members of our community who gave up their time to assist. We'd like to thank the Over the Road Gang and their event committee for doing the work that they do so well year in and year out. Also want to take the time to thank our city staff and team for turning out and mobilizing, and Chief and his folks for coordinating not just the resources of his officers, but other agencies across the region as well. And Michael and Public Works for the work that his folks worked in preparation and coordination. And of course, we've been talking about the work that our electric distribution's done in preparation to get the lighting ready and the street lights up and running, and doing all of that in amidst the storm recovery. So we're grateful for that. And most of all, though, I'd like to thank our neighbors for turning out and welcoming their old friends and making new friends, and for creating a wonderful welcoming environment for those visiting our community. And of course, I think it wouldn't be an event if we weren't able to thank the participants for choosing Ottawa to show their work and their passion to our community and to their fellow enthusiasts as well. And that'll conclude my comments.
All right. Comments by city commissioners, Commissioner Kaler.
I appreciate the insight that our city manager, Mr. Selkat, gave to us. It was his first time to put his eyes on this, and we have all seen this so many times. So I always enjoy seeing the view of someone who's seeing it for the very first time. And so thank you for your insight on how that worked. I walked the park on Friday, walked the park just to make sure, and the park was great. It was in a great condition, considering that we had just had the tractor show before that. So great condition. Hats off to staff for doing that, and to the volunteers. And then walked on Sunday and just heard lots of good stuff. So good weekend, and good weekend for the OHS Wall of Honor inductees. And so congratulations to fellow Commissioner Skidmore.
Local legend.
I think so.
Yeah.
In my own mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Clayton.
I'll just reiterate that about the car show. It's always amazing just how smoothly traffic really does flow, kind of driving near the park on the north side of town, Main and 68, and just a testament to everyone who puts the plan in place and kind of all the crews who are getting out there doing all the stuff. It's always nice to see it go smoothly, at least from the outside. On the ground, maybe a little different, but from the outside, it appears really smooth. And I was gonna ask Chief, I never heard of any large issues from this weekend.
There were none.
So that is,
A great weekend.
yeah, that's fantastic. So the worst thing was rain. So, and that's all I.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
Yeah, the same thing. I was walking downtown. I saw some of the officers from KU were here and I just thanked them for being here. And they said, well, actually, we kind of enjoy this one. So they get to see the car show. So I was glad to see them there in presence and it's great to have that participation. I think it's important. I did walk around the park too, like Sarah did, like on Saturday and talked to several people. And one guy, he just said, yeah, this is the best of all the shows. I mark this on my calendar every year that comes here. And so it's always good to hear that and people and the participation. And there's always new cars, new trucks that are here. It seems like every year. So it's always good to see that. I also might add too, I read recently that the rail trail going west, they're going to get the bridge over the railroad tracks going here, I think early next year, if I understood that right. So I took a hike out there yesterday and I realized there's that barricade and I was walking, I didn't take the road around, but that'll sure be nice once we get that extension going to connect and keep on going west. So looking forward to that happening. And that's all that I had. So thanks.
Yeah, I agree with all the comments made so far about the car show. You know, when Chief was here last week and was kind of giving us the rundown of everything that happens, you know, he mentioned the fact that even after the fact, you know, it's still shut down and there's folks that literally walk down the street just picking up, you know, any debris. And I happened to be at my shop afterwards and they literally walk around picking up every little bit of trash. So quite frankly, our streets probably, no offense, look a little better after the show than even before. I mean, you could see them going through, it wasn't just the streets or the sidewalks, it was literally parking lots, you know, up into some of the entrances to the buildings and stuff. So a lot of work that goes into it. And certainly it runs so smooth because of all the hard work that everybody puts into it for months, whether it's the car show or the police department, you know, public works and everybody that goes along with it. So certainly gratitude from this commissioner for sure. So thank you. A few announcements. Regular meeting is at 10 a.m. this Wednesday, the 20th. And then we have our study session next Monday, the 25th here at 4 p.m. Is there anything else to come before the commission? I'll adjourn.